Awaken your shadow. The truth sets some people free. It offends everyone else. By Seth, the Red Neo, Cherupak.
Epilogue. Becoming the Ungovernable Soul. Some awakenings are not moments of light, but fractures in the veil, where the soul learns it was never truly asleep. When this soul is stripped of its disguises, only two things remain: the terror of truth and the freedom it commands. Beware the comfort that asks you to forget this soul that suffered to be born. Seth Cherupak.
You have reached the end, though endings have little meaning now. You have crossed the strange and silent threshold where a book ceases to be words and becomes a mirror, and where the mirror, having shown you who you were, now waits for you to decide who you will become. This epilogue is not a conclusion, it is a reckoning, a quiet, heavy invitation. By now you have walked through the chambers of your own shadow. You have met your seven selves. You have felt, in some private place beneath the scar tissue of your past, the architecture of a life you inherited without consent and the growing hum of the life you were always meant to author. Maybe a part of you has begun to fade or even die. Maybe you have been undone in deeper ways. Maybe you have seen in these chapters the shape of the witness, the same presence that hovered behind me as I wrote, that rises behind you now as you read. And now the question stands before you like a sealed door in a dream. What will you do with what has awakened? It is not enough to have understood this book. Understanding is the first seduction of the mind. It makes you feel changed without requiring change. It warms you without burning the dross. It offers comfort where this work demands fire. The builders of the Matrix will gladly let you understand your shadow, so long as you never speak with its voice. They will gladly let you meet your seven selves, so long as you never embody them. They will gladly let you revere the witness, so long as you never obey it. Do not mistake clarity for transformation. Clarity without action is the first step back into the prison. The witness you have now glimpsed, the silent, ungoverned self behind fear, behind shame, behind illusion, does not seek your admiration. It seeks your allegiance. It waits for the moment when you choose to build your life around what you now know rather than what you once believed. It waits to see if the truths you've uncovered will remain truths when the world presses its weight upon your shoulders again. You didn't read this far to learn something new. You read to arrive at the threshold of a life that will ask something of you, not agreement, not applause, allegiance. The work from here is not to remember what you've read, but to remember what the witness showed you while you were reading. Some will scorn what begins to change in you. Some will applaud it, most will not understand it. The dark architects of the Matrix will never forgive the threat posed by someone who can no longer be governed by illusion, for the world will press. It always does. It will call you back by your old names. It will try to bribe you with belonging. It will frighten you with loneliness. It will whisper that your shadow is too deep, that sovereignty is too costly, that the self you found in the pages of this book is too wild, too vast, too dangerous to bring into your daily life. You will hear these whispers not with your ears, but with the old wounds that once took comfort in them. But you are no longer the same person who opened this book. That version of you is already returning to dust in some quiet inner chamber. You have been marked by revelation, grazed by the terrible beauty of the truth within you. You carry the scar of awakening now, and there is no returning it to innocence. The matrix fears the one who has truly seen themselves, not their domesticated self, not their inherited self, not their acceptable self. The matrix fears the vast, boundaryless, unbribable self that rises from beneath the artifacts of your old identity. It fears your ungovernable soul. This epilogue is not meant to teach you anything. It is here to remind you of what you already know, but may soon try to forget. Forgetting is the first weapon of the matrix, and remembering is the first discipline of the awakened. You must remember the truth you found in the depths was not an idea. It was a rebirth. It was the kind of knowing that rearranges the marrow, that rewrites the ancient contracts you once signed with the blood of your old wounds. Let the world offer its distractions. Let the noise swell. Let the comforts beckon. You have seen the machinery behind the curtain now, and you know that peace built on sleep is not peace at all. You know that authenticity requires sacrifice. You know that sovereignty demands that you stand alone so you can rise again in power. You know that the shadow you once ran from has become the compass that keeps you from losing yourself again. If you have emerged from these pages with trembling hands and an unsteady heart, good. The soul shakes when it is waking up. If you feel the faint ache of old selves dissolving in the distance, good. What cannot survive the truth was never your identity. If you feel as though a door has opened inside you and you cannot yet see what lies beyond it, good. You are standing at the threshold of your own becoming, and before I send you forward, I need to tell you something my own life had to teach me the hard way. The life that was torn down is not always meant to be rebuilt. Sometimes it has to collapse so you can stand on the foundation of who you became by surviving it. There comes a point when you stop trying to resurrect the old structure altogether and begin building on what remains when the fire has burned everything false. I know this because after this book, my own life stood in ruins. As I began to rebuild, I realized I was not rebuilding at all. I was building for the first time from what remained after illusion, grief, ambition, and borrowed identities had burned away. My old self had made mistakes, and they hurt. They still do. But he also endured the heartbreak, the abuse, the rejection, the chaos and contempt. He did the hard work. He held on to hope amidst the hurt. He sat up at a keyboard on lonely, sleepless nights that seemed to have no dawn. He carried the torch through darkness I would not have known how to survive. He did all of that so that I could stand here now, even though he will not be here to enjoy any of it. He passed the torch that carried him through the dark, and the flame burned out as it was leaving his hand. He finished his journey in darkness so that I could begin mine carrying his light within me. This is where grief begins to change its face. The old self is not just the one who failed, flinched, broke, or bled. He became the one who carried me to the border, the one who suffered long enough to hand me a future he would never see manifest, the one whose memory no longer asks only for regret but for gratitude. As long as his memory lives in me, I will fear no darkness or uncertainty that may come. My old self went through it and lived to pass his legacy on to me. He will always be a shadow in my memory, the gaze behind my gaze. Perhaps this is closer to what God meant when, years ago, I heard the words spiritual fatherhood. I once thought that calling belonged only to one narrow form, one vanished future, one life I imagined and did not keep. I have grieved that loss. I stopped grieving it when I realized that something had been born from it. You will face this moment too. You will be tempted either to despise the self that got you here or to crawl back into its skin because it feels familiar. Do neither. Honor the one who endured what had to be endured. Bless the one who carried you across ground you could not have crossed alone. Then let that self go with dignity. Let gratitude finish what grief began. You do not need certainty. You need remembrance. Remember the witness. Remember the self that cannot be coerced. Remember the moment you felt its gaze behind your gaze. Remember that every fear you confronted in these chapters was a counterfeit authority trying to reclaim its throne. Remember that sovereignty is not the absence of external power, but the refusal to kneel before it. And now we walk forward. Not as writer and reader on opposite sides of a page, but as fellow travelers beneath the same charge, as torch-bearers of this message, as those called to embody what it has awakened in us. The Matrix will not respect what you've become. Do not let that trouble you. The Matrix cannot recognize what it cannot govern. Come forward now without surrendering your sovereignty back to sleep. Come forward now without bowing to counterfeit authority. Come forward in the presence of the witness, speaking truth without performance, and remembering what had to die for us to stand here. Come forward now and become what your shadow demanded, what yourselves revealed, and what the witness saw in you long before you saw it in yourself. Come forward now as the ungovernable soul. In grace and truth, your fellow journeyman, Seth Cherapak.
End of Awaken Your Shadow by Seth Cherapak.